Hello, dear folks, my lovely audience. This is my dear fellow Americans. Welcome to the East-West Show. Jack Chow with the East-West Show under GNE TV. Today, I'm especially honored, including the whole team, is being visited by our beloved Congresswoman, our representative of the district, Dr.Judy Chu, Congresswoman Judy Chu. To you, Madame, welcome to the show.
Thank you.
And to lots of audience, we all know that Judy Chu is never a stranger here. She's been here almost every time in Portland. Every now and then, she'll come here do the congressional update. So we never get lost. Thank you very much for doing so. Well, politicians equal in the equation, politicians equal to be busy. However busy she is, she make it out of schedule. For example, today she has many back-to-back, and she's still here. For that, well, we appreciate it. All right, good. Representing is the key word for democracy. We believe that our community, our district, is being well represented. So thank you also for that. Today is the scheduled congressional update has to, by the priority, we have to move to second. We got to talk about the school shooting, because what happened in Florida, guys, the whole America saddened. We could think anything worse than this. So this is the worst thing happening right in front of our eyes, and could be next time, could be your kid, could be myself, something like that. So now, people are okay. At the first moment, people are very, very grieved. We're very saddened. And now in the week of it, in the aftermath of it, we're thinking about, is it time we do something in the Congress? I don't care what you guys do, right? Do something, that's it. So I want you, if you would have a statement, please.
So there's plenty we can do about this. But first, let me say how tragic it was. I opened up the LA Times on Saturday and saw pictures of 7 14-year-olds who were shot to death amongst the 17, only 14 years old. They were color guards, they were musicians, they were soccer players, they had their whole lives ahead of them. And what happened? Well, this 19-year-old who'd been a student previously in the school, as soon as he turned 18, was able to walk into a gun shop and buy an AR-15 semi-automatic assault weapon. Now, why is it that we allow somebody like this to just walk into a shop as soon as he turns 18 years old, somebody who's had such a troubled past history, and allow him to buy an semi-automatic assault weapon?
Exactly.
That is not right.
That's what's being wrong in the first place. Don't you think so?
It is. And I want to tell you something. There have been laws that have been introduced that could control and stop this problem.
All right.
And there have been laws that have been passed. For example, did you know that we had an assault weapons ban in this country? Yeah, we had it from 1994 to 2004. For 10 years we had it. And in fact, it outlawed the AR-15. Yeah. So he could not have gotten that AR-15 had the assault weapons ban been in place.
How come it was loosened up?
So it was allowed to expire, and because of the stranglehold of the NRA, National Rifle Association, we could not get it renewed.
All right.
Now remember, the NRA, who are they? They spend millions of dollars to Republicans to get them to go against any type of legislation, any type of reasonable legislation that would make the situation better. So they spent $54 million this past cycle, including $30 million of it to Trump.
Wow.
And so they throw around all the dollars, and they threaten the Republican Congress members if they try to put even one bill forward or vote for one bill that could make the situation better.
In other words, they buy laws. I mean, B-U-I, buy the law.
They buy the law, and in fact, I would say it is blood money.
It is blood money.
It's blood money.
It is blood money. Yeah.
So they are so powerful with these Republicans that we can't even get a bill passed to study gun violence.
Thank you for the above statement. I believe my audience, my community member, fellows with the community members, they like that kind of statement. We don't care about those quote-unquote politics. We care about the lives, right?
Yeah,
that is the thing.
Exactly.
And there is correct me if wrong, because I'm not in the politics, right? They say, like an American proverb say, if you can't find it, follow the money. So this is, as a matter of fact, an annual rope is a money matter. It's money driven.
It is.
It's
yeah.
money driven,
yeah.
right?
Yeah, it is.
It's money driven. Okay. Now, next question is even bigger. That can we, as at the U.S. Congress, do something to stop following the money, follow lives? Can we do that, please? Now that you are our representative, we're going to talk to you because you are representing us. And I believe my voice doesn't stand my alone, and it stands the whole community. So, your take?
Well, first, let me talk about common sense legislation that could take place, and then let's talk about the money. Well, first, let's talk about the common sense legislation. First of all, we could revive the assault weapons ban. Secondly, there is a bill that could have stopped the situation, which is an extreme violence protection order. Did you know that this shooter's mother saw that this shooter was a mentally unhinged person and actually contacted law enforcement trying to get them to do something about it.
Yes.
But could do nothing about it.
There have been numerous reports on him, and there has more than 30 police interviews, including twice of FBI interviews with no outcome. No trace following him. The other day I was with a director of Hollywood. He says, at least we can do something. Well, secretly spy on him, follow him.
Well, there's a concrete thing that she could have done if there was a law in Florida like there is in California. And that is to have a restraining order on his guns. That is, in California, if you're a close relative and you see that somebody is becoming mentally unhinged and has a lot of weapons, you could go to court and say, Judge, please let's take away his weapons for a certain period of time. So you can do that in California. You can't do that in Florida. But actually, because of this, we have introduced a bill in the House and a bill in the Senate to allow us to do that all across America.
Thank you for standing tall in the conflicts in between common sense laws and the politician laws or money laws, right? So, and it is my simplest take is that if you're talking about drugs, I can guarantee I shall never have a drug problem, because a drug is the thing. I don't go for it, it doesn't go for me. Bullet is the other. I can get shot by a stray bullet on the street, walking with my wife.
That's right.
Like and my dog.
Yeah.
So,
exactly.
Now, I know that you, thank you very much, by the way, for standing tall on this common sense law group, though. Can we, or are we the majority, are we the minority? Can we do something to it at the Congress, please?
Well, we can. And we can push for these common sense laws. Actually, I want to talk about another one, because this is one that has the support of gun owners. This is universal background checks.
Okay.
This is considered the most effective thing
That's fair.
that you could do. Right now we have background checks. That is, if you go to a licensed gun dealer, then the gun dealer has to do a background check on you. But guess what? If you go somewhere else, like to a gun show, or you buy something online, or you sell to somebody out of the back of your trunk of your car, then you don't have to do a background check.
In other words, if I go to Nevada gun show, right? I get
an assault weapon,
and an assault weapon, and I come back home to use it in California. So I'm licensed. I'm okay.
Then you're okay in terms of buying.
Oh no, that's terrible.
So when we say universal background check, we're saying everybody should have to go through a background check.
You're right.
Then that would stop. Did you know that would stop at least half of these terrible gun sales to criminals and people like that by 2025?
Yeah, all right. Yeah, all right, okay.
And the majority of gun owners actually support this? Because there are a lot of gun owners that don't want all this terrible stuff to happen.
Of course, of course. Many of my friends, they are gun owners. They support the universal background check, right? The thing is that point exactly tackles with the argument. Say, hey, every time they say, hey, oh, it's not the gun killing, it's the man killing, right? Now let's check the man killing.
Yeah, how about checking the man?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Right? Exactly.
How about that?
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. That's a fighter kind of congresswoman that we have elected. And she, Congresswoman Dr. Judy Chu, was or is the first elected Chinese American woman Congress member. And for that, gives a lot of sense. And we do know, community members do know that Judy Chu is very well represented in the district by that she seems to never or seldom miss any, even the local community event. For that, thank you very much. Today is my special honor to have the privilege to talk face-to-face to a great woman representing us, 27th District of United States Congressional District. And we'll take a short moment. We're back for Congressional update. So, please. Hello, dear folks, my lovely audiences, my dear fellow Americans. Welcome back to the serious discussion to the most important issue and issues with our representative of the 27th Congressional District of California. And that is Congresswoman of the United States, Dr. Judy Chu. Madam, welcome, Doctor, welcome back to the show.
Thank you.
Right. And I will feel excited every time I can get this close to American politics, quote unquote, right? So now, talking about American politics, though, we know they are busy at the Congress, right? So, like I said, I talked to your assistant, Lindsay. By the way, Lindsay is the best woman I've ever seen. You pick up only the best, right?
Of course.
Yeah. Somebody like me will never do. Okay. By the way, Lindsay, if you're watching, thank you very much. She is very, very precise, and she's very, I don't know, she's the best anyway. Okay, now, we are arranging for this congressional update. Now it is your time to update ourselves, update the community members about what's going on there. Anything make sense? Or lots of things make sense, or whatever.
Yeah.
Go ahead, please. What's happening there?
Well, the other huge issue has to do with the Dreamers and immigration. And I have something very, very important to say here, which is that President Trump has shown that he is against legal immigration. Our system here in the United States is called the family reunification system, the family-based immigration system. And it changed in 1965. Why did it change? Because prior to 1965, the laws were very much against anybody who wasn't a Nordic European. And in fact, it discriminated against Italians, against Jews, and also totally banned Asians. In 1965, it changed to be more democratic so that if you were here, you could petition for your spouse, your children, your parents, your brother or sister. So that's what we call the family-based unification system. And by the way, this is the reason why we have the Asian community that we have right now.
You're right.
Did you know that?
You and I are all examples of that, proof of that.
Exactly.
Right? Yeah.
You ask a lot of people, how did you come here?
Yeah, of course.
You know, and you'll find that somebody petitioned for them, or they're the descendants of somebody that petitioned for them.
That's what's been happening. That's where we are. That's why we are.
That's why we are here.
Yeah.
Okay,
exactly.
so what President Trump wants to do, he's made a lot of statements like this. He wants to kill it. No more. No more family immigration. Yeah.
will put a stop to it.
He wants to actually put a total stop to it. And in fact, his latest proposal is that you can only bring spouses and children, but nobody else. So during the State of the Union, he actually said, did you know that that a person can bring all kinds of distant relatives, people of, like your grandparents and your cousins and your aunts and your uncles, and you could do it limitlessly? Well,
from those whatever quote-unquote countries. And I hate to mention...
You mean his S-hole?
Yeah,
I know.
I really hate to mention this word in front of a lady.
Okay, that's another thing I want to talk about, but let's, on this...
Sure.
He was wrong. You cannot petition to bring your grandparents, your cousin, your aunt, your uncle. You can only petition for your spouse, children, parents, and adult children, and brothers and sisters. So he said, oh, you can bring all these distant relatives. Well, do you call your parents a distant relative? That's what you can petition for, your parents.
Unless you want to distance yourself from your mother.
It's crazy. I mean, crazy, of course, right? Yeah. So what he said was blatantly false. But what he's trying to do is to present an ugly picture of immigrants. And that's why he uses this term, chain migration.
Yeah.
It's an ugly term.
Yeah,
we call it family-based immigration. He calls it chain migration because he wants to make it seem like you can just bring in all these people. But
yeah, go ahead.
Well, if you talk to anybody out there, you know that if somebody petitions, it takes them years and years and years.
I even plan on immigrating my brother here. So,
and it will take a while.
A reasonable move, right?
Yeah.
Well, my brother is not a distant relative.
Exactly.
By the same mother, same father.
Yeah. Not a distant relative.
Not a distant relative.
Let's think about your children. Your children are very precious to you. But is it that when they turn 21, they're distant relatives? I don't think so.
Oh my God.
Age 20, they're close relatives. Age 21, they're distant relatives.
And even I may apply the Chinese tradition, the culture to it, and your children is forever your children. If he's 81, if you still alive, she is still on your children, right? Anyway, so yeah, go ahead.
So that's one thing I want to inform the public, that President Trump is against family immigration, and that's why he uses the term chain migration.
It sounds that way, yes.
Also, he's against these diversity visas, and that's why he called those countries, the bad words. But actually, about a third of those that come from that system are Asians. But also, what the purpose of those diversity visas were to bring in people from countries which have low immigration to the U.S., like the countries of Africa, like Haiti, like people like that. And by the way, he's also incorrect in saying that they can just come in and they're terrorists and murderers, because actually they're vetted.
He sounds to be labeling countries and people to his own take. Matter of fact, we're all human. Countries are countries, right? They're independent. Let me ask you, I know you're a doctor of psychology, right? So probably today is a psychology question.
Yeah.
What has been wrong, or what has been the function in his mind for him to act like what he is acting?
Well, I think that...
that's not politics. That's medical science.
Well... You don't even have to be a psychologist to understand that.
Well, anyway, you are one.
Yeah, okay. So, well, he's self-centered. He's narcissistic. He's only about himself and his big ego. I don't think that he thinks very deeply about anything. I read this book, Fire and Fury, which caused a lot of, uproar. But it's very, very interesting because it gives you a lot of insight into his mind. And did you know that he doesn't even like to read a one-page memo?
He's twisting. He's busy twisting.
Yeah, exactly. Too busy tweeting and watching TV.
Yeah, watching TV.
Yeah.
And next thing, exactly, I was going to ask you, and now that you mentioned, take a cross look, just the average look across the nation, all the nations. should a president of a country use those kind of terms?
Ugly terms, you mean?
Yeah, ugly terms. Yeah. A terms or what kind of thing, right?
Yeah.
I'm even not talking about politics. I'm talking about behavior, man behavior, gentleman behavior, not even presidential behavior. So now it points to my question to a doctor of psychology. Something wrong, or can we do something to something wrong, people?
Well, I think we have to change presidents because he has a personality that has been like this for decades. And he doesn't see any limit to the ugly behavior. He thinks that he can do ugly behavior and he can get away with it because he's so rich and powerful. So what will stop him? It's got to be the American people that will stop him. He doesn't seem to have any feeling of kindness or consideration for any other human being, including Melania. I mean, he's had affairs with these 2 porn stars. How can we accept such behavior in the President of the United States?
And we did. I'm talking about a universal level, universal levels of understanding, level of acceptance, right? If I, at my show, use that A word, I'm going to lose my job.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
My audience will reject me. No more Jack.
Yeah.
Jack is an A, right? Something like that.
Yeah.
They will do that.
Yeah.
And then the other day, I heard over AM 640, the most stimulating talk radio.
Right.
And they say, oh, yeah, he's only, Trump is only Trump. Well, he talks anything like that.
Excuse
they
me.
are supporters of Trump already. Right. Even they say Trump is Trump. And anybody else say that thing gets themselves in trouble. Right. Now that we're talking about, whole country is talking about the whatever misconduct, though, that is misconduct itself too.
Exactly.
Don't you think so?
Absolutely.
Right? And my question also next to me is that now that you are not a congresswoman, you're a doctor of psychology, we have children to teach. Are you worried about that?
He's not a role model. The President of the United States should be a role model, but he's not. Not only does he have terrible behavior, inconsiderate, insulting, and totally self-centered, but I believe he's a white nationalist. I mean, look at what he said. He said, I want people from Norway. I don't want people, you know, I don't,
he did say that.
Only people from Norway, you know. And then how about what he said when the white supremacists killed the people at the
He didn't say anything. He didn't say
well,
anything to that event.
He said, well, there are very fine people amongst them. Amongst the white supremacists?
Terrible, terrible. My dear audience, today I'm having this privilege to discuss face-to-face to a great woman of the United States, Congresswoman Dr. Judy Chu, representing the 27th District, which is very well, to my eye, represented. Thank you very much for doing so. And we have lots of questions, many questions to ask, even in this category, but I have to put a stop, otherwise, well, I have to cancel all the rest, right? So let's take a moment now. When we come back, we'll focus on the DACA dreamer versus the morality, moral issue. Anyway, so stay with us. We'll be right back, please. Hello, dear folks, my lovely audience, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to the show, a discussion with Congresswoman Judy Chu of the 27th District of California, Congressional District. Dr. Judy Chu is very well representing the district. That's why I want to act on behalf of my audience to bring the questions that they send me to you, right? Now, DACA, dreamer altogether, versus the morality issue, right? And lots of my folks wrote to me the other day, oh, I do advertise about the show.
Yeah.
I tell them in advance, on 21st of I'll meet with the Congresswoman Judy Chu. You guys have questions and you ask me. They send me questions. One of the questions, which is a very funny, very interesting question, was that DACA or Dreamer whatsoever, is that a money issue, political issue, or moral issue? So you want to give them an answer, please?
Well, it's all of them.
Oh, it's all of them.
Yeah.
Okay.
It is a political issue because President Trump did away with DACA. He said in September, no more DACA, right? Mm-hmm. So in order to get the system back together again for these 800,000 young people, mm-hmm. we have to have a political solution, which is a bill mm-hmm. that will make their status legal. Mm-hmm. And then it's a moral issue because, look, these young people came here through no fault of their own. They came here as children.
They were kids.
And then they grew up here. Many of them did not know that they were undocumented until they started applying for college or mm-hmm. applied for a driving permit. Mm-hmm. And then, to their shock, they found out that they were undocumented. But in the meanwhile, they're total Americans through and through. They grew up here, they were educated in our schools, and in fact, many of them are doing very well. Many of them then, after DACA was passed, went to college. Because of DACA, they were able to actually work and support themselves mm-hmm. through college. Mm-hmm. And then after, because of DACA, they were able to get a job. Mm-hmm. So they are actually contributing to our economy.
Yeah.
And do you want to pull the rug
yeah.
out from
mm-hmm.
underneath them? I think that's not right, and it is a moral issue. And by the way, I want to
mm-hmm.
say this important thing,
yeah.
which is that 130,000 of them, 130,000 of the Dreamers are Asian. Mm-hmm. I have talked to them personally. Mm-hmm. I have heard their stories, and do not forget that amongst them are Asian Pacific Islanders who've come here, and if the DACA program were to truly end, they would be sent back, deported back to a country that they don't even know. And
that's going to be a disaster.
Well, I heard a story from one young man. He had already graduated from college. He was working and everything, very productive. But his Chinese parents had him while they were in Peru, and then they came to the United States. And basically, if DACA were to end, he would be sent back to Peru, where he only was born. That's it.
Oh.
And they would be deported to China. So he wouldn't even be anywhere near the same country where they are.
Yeah. All right. That's a disaster. And also, I believe if you do not know this story, I would have to bring it to your attention because you're representing us. And the other day, I did a show with a friend of mine, a guest of mine. He mentioned an example, even with actual names. There are 4 guys from Filipino under DACA thing. Yeah. And they put up 4 years of service in U.S. Army.
Oh, yeah.
And now that they are facing deportation in the coming April, I believe. You're aware of that story?
Well, not the specific story, but I am aware that there are people who are indeed Dreamers who served in our military. Who served for the U.S. military.
That's too much unfair. That's too much unfair.
Yeah.
That's even evil.
That's not right.
That's not right. So now all together, we want to do something. As people of the community members that you represent, as one of the constituents that you represent, we strongly ask you, request that you represent us to voice out that we don't want that to happen. We want the kids to stay where they are because that's their country, that's their home.
Yeah, that's right. Well, we are doing as much as we can, and March 5th is the end of DACA. Fortunately, the courts, however, have extended it to some extent. So we are hoping that there can be a solution even in the March 23rd budget omnibus bill. So that's a chance for us to have a solution in there. But we need a solution because all these Dreamers are losing their jobs. They are losing their status every day.
It's not a free option. So there's a string attached, isn't it? Even for that, for example, when Trump says I'll give you 1.8 million, and then you allow me with a wall or give me the money for the wall.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
Yeah,
now.
that kind of thing, right? So, are they related?
So he wants to use the Dreamer situation as hostage for his border wall. Now, remember what he said when he campaigned about his crazy border wall? Mexico will pay for it.
Mexico is paying, yeah.
What happened to that?
Well, of course, nobody will pay.
Yeah.
Yeah, nobody will pay.
So he wants to give the bill to the American people. Here, American people. I said Mexico would pay for it, but you're paying for it. $25 billion.
And once again, going too deep to profoundly to his ideology, to his own mind, though, did he really believe that Mexico will pay? I believe that he knew that Mexico will not pay, and there's no way of paying. Why do so? Why still say that? Is it a lie or a white lie or a black lie?
Well,
I don't know.
He has spent all his life being a businessman and negotiating. And then when he's negotiating, he could say any old crazy thing in order to get the final result. That's what he's doing.
So in other words, now that we forget, we just put this aside. This is a very risky thing, right? And we'll talk about war when we come back next segment. Now we focus on the kids, though. If we agree to give the money, though, will these kids, the DACA kids, the Dreamer kids, be protected?
Well, theoretically, yes. It depends on which bill passes. There is a bill which says, okay, let's put some money into studying the solutions for the border wall, and let's have a permanent status for the Dreamers. That is an acceptable bill that I support. It's called the Hurd-Aguilar bill. But the problem is that President Trump wants very, very severe things attached to his version of the bill. He wants $25 billion, which is a big hole. And
$25 billion, that's a huge amount of money.
It's huge, and it's also for a wall
astronomical,
that is impractical. You know, you can't build a wall across some rivers and lakes and, in some parts of the mountains. And you talk to any of those Border Patrol agents, and they know it can't happen.
By animation, you would. By animation, you can, all right? And sometimes we really have to think that way. We really have to think like a 3-year-old, no, like an 8-year-old, something like that. My dear friend, let's take a break of this segment. And I'm really, really happy that we get some points checked. After all, checking a point is not that hard work. It's not a rocket science, technology, whatever. We're talking about common sense. As long as you bring common sense on the table, everything gets an answer, right? Those kids, for example, me, myself, I was born in Shandong. I live in China, and I was immigrated here, and now I'm a proud American citizen. Suppose if somebody kicked me back to Shandong, I will commit suicide because I know nobody. I know nothing there. Even they kick me back to China and to where I lived. Well, I lost all friends there. I know nothing about it. And the other day when I came back to China to look for my place when I was childhood, we used to play. And they were all buildings. And then we asked for some help from the local people planning, use a map, use some kind of instrument. They kind of like pointed out that is it, but it's behind the wall. Anyway, so I will not live. So that's how serious it is. My dear audiences, if you want to write to your congresswoman, please feel free to do so. Even call her office to let the Congress know what we want. All right, let's take a short moment out. We come back for it, please. Hello, dear friend, my lovely audiences. Welcome back to the show. And those of you who wrote to me with your questions, I appreciate it, especially because you do indicate that you care about United States care about at least yourself. Now, with me is my good friend. I still call her friend because we go back your Garvey School days, right?
Yes.
Long
30
time.
years, yeah.
Garvey School, Monterey Park, as 5 times a mayor. Am I right?
3 times.
Three
Yeah.
times?
Yeah, yeah.
All right. And then the U.S. Equalization board chairman, and then assemblywoman, and then the congresswoman, all the way. So, as the first Chinese American woman be elected to Congress, that's a landmark. That is the landmark. The good part is the landmark never take a respite. She comes on and she continues representing the district. For that, we thank God for having given us such a creator. And for you, we thank you for your hard work, right? Altogether, we're bringing the crying baby to the mother. In this case, you're the mother, because the babies are crying, all right? Anyway, well, it makes sense.
Okay.
Whatever makes sense,
got
right?
it.
Okay. Now, in the thorough discussion, I basically do not go against the concept of having a country's border secured. But to lots of folks, they have a hard time understanding where I need your take that California, Arizona, New Mexico, and Texas, they used to be not our land, right? We took from them. Right. Now, their ancestors are still here, buried here, and going back and forth, the influx of what is or exodus, and they are enormous. So now that all of a sudden, suppose the wall were or had been practical, so do you think it's fair?
Well, first of all, would a wall even be effective to do what you're talking about? Yeah, people want to make sure we have control over who's in our country, but there are better things that we can do to figure that out. But would a wall be the solution? You build a 20-foot wall and somebody can have a 20-foot ladder.
They have tunnels, they can't drive a truck.
Now, if you listen, however, to the Border Patrol agents, they have a better idea of what they need.
What is?
Which is better intelligence, better technological innovations, drones and things like that, which would allow them to actually see things. But trying to build a wall would be very, very impractical for the reasons that I said in terms of rivers and mountains. But also, did you know that the vast majority of the new building would have to be in Texas, and it's on private property? Are you really going to buy the land of the people?
Unless we're rich, we're super rich.
Well, this is going to be much more expensive than you could ever imagine.
Exactly.
So would a wall be the right thing to do to be able to determine who is in this country or not? I think not. And actually, all the Congress members who are along that border, whether they're Democrats or Republicans, they're against this idea. So that tells you something. Now, the thing that we should have a better handle on is maybe who overstays visas. You know, who might have had a tourist visa but stayed. You know, how about a little more of that kind of technological control about who is actually in the country. And
well, next time if there's a debate in Congress, I'll provide you a little piece of history. Okay, look around the world. Whoever had walls never did a job protection. China had a wall, the greatest, right? Yeah. Right. And well, never failed for 2,000 years from protecting China from being invaded.
Yeah.
Never. Okay, Berlin had a wall. Well, it did nothing to the nation except lots of people get killed. So now in North and South Korea, we do not have a wall, but we have a line. Acting as if it is a wall, though, it does nothing, still separate the people. Okay, now, for those, if there is a debate, I'm willing to testify, well, so it doesn't work. So do you think that's a point?
I think that adds to the argument that this border wall is silly and useless, and we should not be spending billions of our precious American dollars.
$25 billion, that's huge.
We have so many needs in this country.
I recall last time with the economic stimulus, Obama spent only $786 billion. So 250 is almost half of it.
Well, how about the fact that we have so many infrastructure needs, and President Trump is being such a cheapskate with his infrastructure bill.
Yeah.
Did you know that he's saying we'll have $1 trillion in infrastructure improvement, but he's only providing $200 billion of federal money and saying, okay, I will provide $200 billion from the federal government, and you, the state and local governments, you come up with the rest.
All right. Things like, well, sometimes we're talking about 8-year-old. I still want to use the quote of AM 640, say, Trump is Trump, like that kind of thing, right? Never take him serious. But our dollars are serious. Okay, next thing. In between DACA, whatever, it goes the amnesty or not, or whatever, and the wall going to be practical or not practical, or build or not build.
Yeah.
In between, there are the 11 million undocumented. They are the adults, right? So to me, to my philosophy, it has nothing to do with DACA, has nothing to do with the border wall, but it is the existence. For example, I have a problem here, right? Should I have it? If I do not smoke, I will not have it probably. Now we're not talking about me smoking, we're talking about I have something here, right? Let's take care of it. Do you think Congress need to do something to the 11 million, please?
So in our comprehensive immigration bill, which we had in 2012, we had a system for those 11 million undocumented to become documented if they did the right things. If they obeyed the law and showed that they were not criminals, they learned English, they paid a fine, they did all kinds of things, and then they would take several steps for them to become legal.
Put them in the line waiting,
Exactly.
That's fair, right? And may take longer than 10 years whatsoever, it's still fair. But to deport them, that's really something cruelty.
It is
I call.
Great cruelty, and also, guess what? It would be expensive. It would be many, many more millions of dollars than you can even imagine.
Yeah, you're right.
To deport them all. I mean, 11 million people.
Yeah.
But also, let me tell you something. That one of the greatest ways to stimulate the economy of the U.S. is to make sure that you have a healthy system of immigration, because the immigrants are the ones that will have the future workers who will keep our Social Security and Medicare going, because it is the contributions of those younger workers that ensures that everything continues to function.
I really
as it
hate
should.
to differentiate ourselves from the rest of the folks. I'm saying that immigration people tend to work harder. They're hard workers because they want to try with extra efforts of their new land, new life, where they act better.
Well, did you know that immigrants in this country open businesses twice as much as native-born people?
All right, that I have no clue of the statistics, but I know it's a fact they do.
And did you know that immigrants were the ones who started Google, Yahoo, eBay, and how about Chopani yogurt?
Exactly.
And you know, all these companies, how many jobs have they provided for the United States?
There are zillions of examples, vivid examples, well, to back that up. We don't need to even look around. It is all around us every day, right? Take Mike, for example, your lovely husband. He is the one, he's the fighter. I told him, Mike, you're my fighter. Yeah, right? So you too. Okay, I'm talking about we have always a limited time. We're over time. I'm very sorry for overtime, but I'm very proud that I use the overtime all when we have points are checked, right? And even though we can't find a solution, but your voices is conveyed to our representative and will be there, will be voiced out in Congress. That you can be rest assured. Today with me, my star, my political star, Dr. Judy Chu, Congresswoman, first Chinese American woman elected to the Congress, and we have lots of things covered, and yet I have a list 10 times longer than this, but we have only time this time. All right, now we'll see you next time whenever she has a moment. So thank you for watching, and to Congresswoman Dr. Judy Chu, thank you so much for sharing.
Thank you.